Hey guys, what's up? We're coming here live from San Diego Comic-Con. Super excited to be here. It is Thursday morning. We hit up the first panel of the day, which was Hall H. We were a little nervous about potentially getting into this panel. It was actually very easy, thankfully.
Yeah, thank God.
Thank God, because it was a little stressful. But we got to sit in the panel for 20th Century Fox's The Predator, which is very exciting. First panel of the day. It was really nice to be able to do this at the very top. And sort of be in the experience of being in Hall H and all that stuff. We ran into a bunch of people that we know.
Yep.
It was really, really cool. Panel started. For me personally, I didn't really know what to expect coming out of this panel or what was going to be shown at this panel, but I was excited to hopefully get some answers from Shane Black, the director, to see sort of the cast, talk about the making of the movie and all that sort of stuff, and I feel like we got a pretty good handle on that.
Yeah, so it's worth saying that the people on the panel, it was Shane Black, the writer and director, co-writer. Fred Decker, who co-wrote the script with him, was not there.
Yeah, which would have been great.
But Shane Black was there, and all the cast except for Holbrook and Jacob Tremblay.
Yeah.
But Sterling K. Brown was there, Thomas Jane was there, Olivia Munn,
Keegan-Michael Key, Jake Busey.
So it was a fun little group. They started off by showing what I'm imagining is going to be like a promo video they put online. It might even be online by the time this video goes out.
Yeah.
About like who would win in a fight against the Predator, and they threw out a lot of the options to the cast. This is like behind the scenes footage of them on set.
Yeah. Some of the options: Psylocke, Wolverine. I think Batman or Punisher was one of them.
Thomas Jane, the Punisher would win in a fight. And the major thing I think going into this panel, because we've seen the trailers for the Predator films coming out of this, and the reception for the most part has not been stellar.
Yeah, I think it's been sort of lukewarm. I think some people prefer the second trailer or the second teaser to the first teaser, and I'm sort of in agreement with that.
I think we fell on the more positive side of things.
Sure.
You know, the thing about it is, like, if you're hiring Shane Black, I would usually think you're hiring someone who's really good at snappy dialogue and things of that nature. And the way modern action trailers are edited together now, you don't really get to see a lot of dialogue scenes, which I think is important when talking about the clips that they showed from the movie.
Yes.
So they showed the first clip, and there's no Predator in it. It's a hotel scene of all the characters bantering back and forth with Olivia Munn, and it's about like 2-3 minutes. It's filthy.
It is
filthy. Shane Black dialogue.
I've been going to Hall H for years, and this is, I think, one of the only few times I've ever watched a clip in Hall H, and it's been bleeped throughout.
Oh, so much bleeping. Which, let me ask, what did you think of that?
Well, the thing that I liked and the thing that Shane Black talked about was what he kind of felt like this movie is how it's different from the other Predator movies and even the crossover movies is that this one is very much about sort of exploring the unique characters. You know, a lot of them are soldiers, but they're all different types of soldiers. They all have different personalities, and I thought that was such an interesting thing to really touch on, and that's, I think, what the scene does. It shows you sort of the different characteristics of the characters. Thomas Jane's character, I believe, has Tourette's.
Yes,
in this movie,
possibly PTSD.
Yes,
Tourette's,
exactly. So I thought that was a really interesting way to sort of not focus on the Predator and give us the opportunity to sit with the characters and experience sort of like, who are they? What is sort of their generally kind of like who are they in the movie, but more about like how does the banter really work? Because I think that's the biggest thing when it comes to a lot of these movies, especially the first one. I think that's so key, and like the core of that movie is the banter between all the different characters and how unique they are, even though they may all look the same. And I think this movie, at least this clip, really nails that, and I think it did it extremely well.
Yeah, it's very fast-paced dialogue.
It is.
And someone even asked at the Q&A section near the end of the panel, how many takes did they have to do to make sure that was all done correctly? And what Shane Black said was actually that they came in on the weekends and rehearsed the scenes like plays, so that when they actually got in front of camera, they were able to just nail it. And it works. It really, like that scene, the dialogue feels very natural. It feels like it flows really well. It feels like a Shane Black scene.
It does, yeah.
Which to me is a good thing.
Oh, absolutely. You know, like a movie like Nice Guys. I don't know if you guys have seen Nice Guys, but if you have not, I highly, highly, highly recommend it. It's a great movie. Russell Crowe, Ryan Gosling are in it. They're fantastic. But it goes back to more, you know, we were talking to some people beforehand, and they were like, well, I don't necessarily want it to be a comedy. But you look at what he's done with Nice Guys and what he did with Lethal Weapon as a franchise, an action movie that has comedy, but the comedy, I think, to me, works so well, and it really enriches those characters. And that's really the vibe that I got out of this.
I agree. Yeah, I think that's true. And I think, so you see a lot of that, and the cast was a lot of fun to watch. Sterling K. Brown was like the king of the panel.
He was. He's so great.
Like Sterling K. Brown, for an actor who we usually think of as comedic, and Black Panther got a shout out because he's in Black Panther.
Right.
He was hysterically funny. Like him and Keegan were like the two stars of the panel.
They were,
in a big way. It was very interesting. So then when it gets into all the stuff with the actual Predator, Shane Black made it very clear that this isn't a reboot. It's not reimagining the series. It still takes place within the same universe as 1, 2, and even the AVP films. But he clarified that there's not going to be a xenomorph. It was asked. Now, that could be baloney.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, as of right now, we don't even know if Schwarzenegger's in the movie. There's been rumors and things of that nature. But let me ask you, what do you think about that, about taking the approach of this takes place within the verse as opposed to, even though it's called The Predator, it's not a film that's like brand new.
Exactly, yeah. And I'd be really curious to see how you guys feel about this. But for me, I really do like the fact that this is a franchise or a series of movies that isn't necessarily saying, well, we shouldn't acknowledge the past. We need to sort of like reboot it and make it new, fresh, different, and add all these like different things to it. I like the fact that this is saying, no, the other movies exist. We don't have to directly acknowledge them, but we can acknowledge elements, characters, or moments, and then tell a brand new story. And I think for a franchise like Predator, I think a lot of people, I would assume most of the people watching would agree, they love the first Predator. I think a lot of people like Predator 2.
I'm on the positive end of Predator 2. It's not perfect, but I'm on the positive end.
Yeah, and I think once we get into AVP and AVPR, you know, I think there's some people who like AVP but may not like the second one. But the one thing they didn't mention was Predators.
Well, I think
Robert Rodriguez produced movie,
the Adrian Brody one. I think because that takes place on like a predator hunting world, and the other ones take place on Earth.
Yeah.
So unless there's like I don't know, like maybe a newspaper with Adrian Brody's face on it, where it's like Crazy Man, or something like that. But you're right. Predators was not mentioned, which I thought was interesting. But I think the big thing that I came out of the panel feeling was that this did a really good job of setting tone and what the tone of the movie was going to be. And to me, that's very exciting. Like, it does feel very Shane Black. And if you're a fan of Shane Black, I think if you were to see that scene, you would go like, oh, I see what they're doing, and I really like it. What Shane Black said, and I really like this, and I've heard him actually say this about other films that he's written, is taking a group of misfits, smashing them together, seeing how they bounce off of each other. And they're people who were once good at something, but they forgot they're good at it. Yeah. So now it's their journey to kind of get back there. And so I think like taking like what are essentially like seem to be like a group of mercenaries, ex-soldiers. Olivia Munn's a scientist. And then Jacob Tremblay, which I've not seen this in the marketing, but he revealed.
None of it,
he revealed in the panel. I guess Jacob Tremblay's character is supposed to be on the autism spectrum. Which I think is interesting. I'm wondering how that's going to play out. I'd love to hear what you guys think about that. And then the big final scene was a scene with original Predator and what we've seen in the trailers, the big, massive...
The roided out Predator.
Shane Black called it the Roid Predator. And basically the story approach he took, which I thought this was kind of cool, was that they look at it, and again, this is why it's important that it takes place within the verse of the first two films, is that, and whether or not we see any of this in the movie, but this is how they approached it, was that the Predators are like these proud hunting race, and they only send out the best of the best to go be predators for other planets. And 2 times, Earth kicked their ass. And so now maybe there is a group of predators, a tribe as he called it, that are these big roid, massive 8-foot-tall predators who are like, okay, well, we're going to go.
We ain't about that life.
You all failed. We're going to go do it.
And
so we saw a scene of these 2 predators fighting each other, and it... some of the comments we've seen is that the action doesn't look great in the trailers. This, I think, put that to bed.
Yeah, and I think one of the things that Shane Black also touched on was like some of this stuff still isn't done.
Yes.
You know, and I'm watching some of the stuff, and I'm like, wow, this is actually really cool to see a general size Predator than now fighting this like 7-foot roided out version. It's
a lot of it felt
insane.
Practical and suit based.
It does, yeah, and I think that's sort of the key element. I think that's, if you're going to do a Predator movie or an Alien movie or whatever, these types of movies, I think it is hugely beneficial for the creator and I think for the audience when they can see what looks like someone in a real suit doing as much practical as they can.
Right.
And I think it just makes it more enjoyable, because I would always worry if we're going to continue making movies in these franchises and they keep going more digital, it breaks sort of that reality that you feel in the original 2 movies.
Yeah. So yeah, overall, I thought it was like a really fun panel. I thought the cast was great. The cast really seems to be bouncing off each other in a way. Like you'll see sometimes panels or behind the scenes footage where it's like, oh, everyone in the cast got along. Yeah. And sometimes it could feel like that's a marketing tool.
Yeah,
this actually did feel like. Yeah. They talked a lot about how they would watch YouTube videos and try and put bits in the movie. Yeah. And because Shane Black's older, he didn't know what the hell they were doing.
He's like, oh my god.
So that was fun.
Yeah. The overall vibe, I would say, in the panel, too, was pretty good.
Yes.
You know, and it's hard to say sometimes with Hall H because of the fact that there are other panels that follow. So, like, right now there's a Doctor Who panel and there's other big panels happening. Sometimes you don't necessarily know what those people are in there for.
Right.
And when it comes to Predator, you know, Predator is a big franchise. We all know that. We all love Predator. But I do still think that it has a particular audience.
It's almost like a franchise that became a franchise by accident in a funny way because it's one of the few films that, like, Arnold Schwarzenegger is the star in the first one, but you don't think about it as an Arnold series.
Right.
The Predator is almost bigger than physically he's bigger than Arnold, but it's almost like the presence of that character is bigger than 80s Arnold Schwarzenegger, who was like the biggest star in the world.
Exactly.
So that's kind of what makes it interesting. But also, it's like those films, by all accounts, were never expensive movies.
Right.
Which usually franchise. Yeah. So it's very interesting that we are on, if you're counting AVP, our 6th Predator movie now with this.
Yeah. Wow.
Which is interesting. So yeah, I'm excited. I think, like, walking in, if you saw any of our trailer reactions to the Predator films, like, I can admit that first trailer was not great. The second trailer was better. But it's also about, you hired a guy who's known for dialogue and group interactions, and trailers are very cut.
Yes.
So it's about, what's the tone of this movie going to be like? And I think, to me, it's a very Shane Black tone, which I find very exciting. I love his movies. And this comes out, this is in August, right?
September 14th, I believe,
So we're close. We're a month and a half away, and I'm very excited.
Yeah, and I think also, going back to what you're saying about the trailers, movies like The Nice Guys, for example, trailers also, when I go back and rewatch them, not the strongest, but the movie itself is so fun and so great and so enjoyable. And I think you're right when you talk about how it's sort of hard to present that Shane Black wittiness and banter without making it seem like they're making Predator into a comedy, because they're not. The action sequence that we saw was very brutal, and he very much sort of talked about how having the R rating was so important just because it allows them to be violent.
Yes.
Like the original Predator movie is. If you were to do anything other than that, then it would have felt like they were trying to make a different movie. So I think that, and a mixture of seeing the camaraderie between the cast, it makes me very enthusiastic and excited about the movie. And I think if you're going to come out and you're going to try to pitch this movie to an audience, to all of us, and convince us to go watch it, then I think showing us a piece of that movie where it's like, oh, we're all in this together, we're all sort of fighting against the same thing, I think that really helps sell the movie and makes me excited. And then seeing the roided out Predator fighting the normal sized Predator was super exciting, and the crowd really seemed to enjoy it, which was great.
The crowd really seemed to enjoy it. They seem to be into the characters, so that's exciting. I think, a movie like this works on whether you enjoy those characters or not. They're saying that they're hoping you'll love these characters as much as you love the characters from the original, and hopefully there will be quotable lines like the original with "I ain't got time to bleed," or "Get to the chopper."
Absolutely.
But guys, tell us what you think. Did anything we say, like, if you were convinced by the trailers originally, like, I don't want to see this, that, and the other, has anything we've said, like, leave that? Do you feel like you want to go see this? Definitely let us know in the comments. And actually, I would love to see, like, are there people here who are like, I love Predator. Predator 2 is the best one.
Yeah,
I want to see
that
too. I want to hear what you guys think of the series as a whole.
Yeah, absolutely. Let us know what you thought about the entire Predator series and what you're sort of looking forward to in this movie based on some of the things that we saw today. Really be interested to hear that. Before we go, I want to make sure we give a shout out to our sponsor or our friends at Mike Hess for hooking us up with a bunch of brews for Comic-Con weekend. Thank you so much for that. And of course, to the patrons who help us make this happen. You guys are definitely part of the reason why we are even allowed to be here at Comic-Con to do all this coverage for you guys. So thank you so much. If you want to become a patron, go to patreon.com/hyperrpg. We've got a lot of great tiers, and we've got a lot of fun stuff coming for patrons and for everybody else who supports us. So thank you guys so much for subscribing here on YouTube or on Twitch or on any other social platform where you can find HyperRPG. Cameron, where can everybody find you?
Find me on twitter.com/JurassicAlien.
And you just find me at Adam Havik. Make sure you guys stay tuned. We've got some fun stuff coming up.